Welcome to the Building One Story at a Time podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Katie Herbine.
And I'm Stephanie LaChance.
Today on the podcast, we are talking about recommendations for what we say that you should consider doing now versus thinking that'll be easy for me to do later. So we're maybe going to bust some myths of things that would be easier to do later, and kind of change your perspective that they're actually easier to do now.
Awesome. Well, let's get started talking about a couple of the plan and architectural options that are available. So adding like an extra room, so like a sunroom or even just a covered porch, maybe a screened porch, a deck, a screened deck, a covered deck. Those are some of the things that I would vote you can do later as an addition or as a remodel. So I would, unless you know for sure that that's what you want to add, I think our sunrooms, our porches are beautiful. You'd have the convenience of having it done ahead of time. However, it is one of those things that if you're on the fence about, it can always be added later. Something to definitely do now is add a Bilco door. And I only want to recommend this when you have what we call a switchback staircase, which means that the staircase turns back around on itself. It almost makes like a U shape, or rather anything other than a straight run staircase. Especially if you plan to finish the basement. If that basement is really only going to be for like storage, overflow, like Christmas decorations, stuff like that, then you can forego the Bilco door. However, if you think you're going to be finishing that basement, maybe putting a pool table down there, maybe arcade games, bringing in large pieces of drywall, lumber, etc., a Bilco door would be something that you want to consider adding up front.
Yeah, what she means with the stairs is because it's going to be hard to turn anything around that corner. Yeah, very good point. Did not even consider that. So
a finished basement is something that you can do later.
Yes.
In fact, I typically tend to recommend waiting to finish the basement, like live in the house for a little bit, and kind of determine what you need down there. Unless you come into this process knowing exactly what you need. Maybe you have a finished basement. That's great. Please get the basement finished now because you're going to be very happy with that decision if that's what you know you want. However, if you're kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'll put a movie room down there. Maybe I'll put in a home gym. Maybe I need a whole bathroom and a bedroom with a closet, maybe 2 bedrooms. That's something that you might want to live in the house for a little bit and then figure out exactly the layout that you want and then add that in later.
The ceiling heights would definitely be something to do now. So if you want the 9-foot ceilings versus the more typical or included 8-foot ceilings, we would recommend, obviously, almost it feels like, to do that up front through the designs or through your new home sales specialist rather than trying to decapitate the house and then make it taller.
Yeah, we can't literally raise the roof, so. Oh, cabinets. This I want to stress. So besides maybe like the lumber that's used in the construction of your new home, the next biggest investment that's aesthetic is your kitchen cabinets. Please, please, please get the correct kitchen cabinets up front in your new build. Other things, other aesthetic items are easy enough to change later, but your kitchen cabinets, those are going to be a 30-year investment. And although there is kind of a trend toward painting cabinets, I have heard that it can be very costly to do that later. And if you're a big DIYer and you're thinking you can do it later, it certainly can be done. But I would probably advise you to add on maybe 2 extra coats of what you think you're going to need to do to get an even finish on your cabinets. That's what's actually going to be needed to make that finish look good.
Yeah, so we would recommend doing the kitchen cabinetry to the level that you absolutely want it, because a kitchen renovation is probably one of the more difficult things to live through. But also, while you're thinking about your kitchen cabinets, whether to do an island now or later, if you know if exactly the size of the island that you want, and it's one of the ones that we offer through the design studio for your home plan, we would recommend doing that up front through the design studio. It can be done later, But you'll need to like kind of pull wires for an outlet that would be required by code. Or if you have one of those freestanding ones, that would be a good solution as well. Maybe you're not sure if you want an island right now. But the wall cabinets on the wall with an 8-foot ceiling, we can take them all the way to the ceiling. We would definitely recommend that as an aesthetic choice to be done through the design studio rather than saying, oh, I don't know, I'll take my cabinets up the wall, raise them up to the ceiling. That would be quite cumbersome, and you'll need to do a couple of other things with that. So we would recommend raising cabinets ahead of time.
It is one of those larger investments that are available, so we understand if it's just not realistic. However, if you do have the ability, absolutely, that gives your house a designer look. It makes it just feel like it was very intentional and like a built-in element for your new home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Countertops. So this kind of ties into our everything and the kitchen sink episode. But if you want a specific kitchen sink, maybe a apron front, maybe the farmhouse apron front, you are going to need at least granite, but maybe quartz countertops.
Yeah.
Which means we'll need to add those up front through the design studio. That is rather hard to retrofit in the future. If you are okay with a 50-50 split bowl sink, a drop-in, that would be included in your new home with the laminate tops, or electing the optional single bowl drop-in sink, by all means, you can always swap out counters later. That is much easier to do than a full cabinet renovation. And then you can do the backsplash at that time. However, if you're thinking that your laminate countertops are a longer than 5-year investment, you want to take that laminate and make it last as long as possible. Maybe you have granite or quartz now and you know you prefer laminate. We like to recommend the optional bevel edge treatment for that laminate instead of the straight edge. And that's because that straight edge can kind of get penetrated by water, and over time, it can actually become detached from the countertop itself, and it's very sharp when that happens. And if that is that longer of an investment for you, we can also pair that bevel edge with a tile backsplash for that laminate instead of just the included 4-inch laminate splash. That's just going to dress up the countertops a little bit more, and again, make it look like granite or quartz, kind of mimic that look, even though you didn't jump all the way up to that level.
Yep. I like to recommend that one as well, because I think adding backsplash can kind of make the countertops look more high end too. But again, only if you're planning to keep those laminate countertops for a while, because they're going to be a little bit thicker than the granite or quartz that would be installed down the road. So they might kind of have some residue left behind on the tile that's beautiful back there.
And we've also heard people say it kind of depends on the stage of life you're in, right? Like if you're in the I have young kids stage of life, then you're probably going to use and abuse some of these built-in elements a little harder than otherwise. But if you're at a stage of life where you can go up to the nicer countertops, by all means.
Yes. If you're thinking for a bathroom, if you would want to have 2 sinks in a bathroom, if there's enough space and we offer it, I would recommend doing the double sinks from us so that you have all of the correct plumbing lines and you're not needing to kind of do a ton of plumbing work. It maybe would be more of an easy DIY if you wanted to change something about the look of that vanity in the future than adding 2 sinks.
Appliance layout and kitchen packages. So for kitchen packages, kind of tying into my cabinet recommendation, if you came in knowing that you do not want the microwave above the range, that you would like a hood, or that you would like a wall oven, we recommend electing either the entertainer package with the hood or the culinary package with both the hood and the wall oven. Again, that is going to be very difficult to change and to retrofit in the future, requiring new cabinets in those specific places and potentially also surrounding those appliances. Along that same vein, if you are okay with having the microwave above the range and you do a lot of steamy or spicy cooking, be sure to consider the option to vent that microwave to the outside. Again, that's going to be something that's very difficult to add later because we're actually going to be putting that vent through the floor joist to take that to the exterior.
Yes. We would also recommend roughing in plumbing lines. Anything that you want to have on the second floor. As far as plumbing, we would recommend roughing that in. Any plumbing in the garage, we would recommend roughing in.
Maybe an additional hose line?
Yeah, that wasn't what I was thinking.
So normally we do include 2 hose lines, one for the rear corner, one for the front corner. We can't put a hose line on an uninsulated garage wall, so it will have to go on an interior house wall. Sometimes folks like to add an extra hose line for washing off their cars in the driveway if it's a little more convenient than the one that comes included on the front corner. So something to consider there.
Yeah, mine was completely unrelated to plumbing. What I was thinking was lights. If you want to put overhead lights on the first floor, doing that up front through the design studio would be easier to access, of course, than trying to do something like that later on.
Absolutely.
Grab bars. If you know you need a grab bar, we would recommend doing it again through us because especially if you're going to have like a beautiful tile shower, we're going to put blocking in the wall behind that grab bar. So you don't need to, again, like if you have a beautiful tile shower, take the tile off the walls to add more blocking to support the weight that would maybe be used on that grab bar.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have heard from some of our buyers that there are like aftermarket grab bars that use like a type of suction system, but I'm sure they all have weight ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Ours would be a little bit more than those because of that additional blocking behind the wall. So something to think about. And right now we are offering grab bars installed on the rear wall of all of our shower packages.
A pot filler.
Ooh, yeah. Available for the entertainer or culinary kitchen packages exclusively.
Yes. And if you're thinking, I don't want to lift that heavy pot, go ahead and put a pot filler in because it's going to be in that nice backsplash again.
It's also so aesthetically pleasing. It just looks so pretty being like centered right there above the cooktop.
Mm-hmm.
For the finish of the plumbing fixtures or the style of the plumbing fixtures, they certainly can be changed out later. Some of those elements a little harder than others, like the drain stopper, for example. A little harder to swap that up, but certainly it can be done. So if you came in thinking, I'll just keep the included chrome for now and swap it out later, again, it can be done. When you elect an optional plumbing fixture finish, it would also include all of the bathing towel bars, the hand towel bars, and the paper holders for that bathroom where applicable. And if you're adding a shower door, we like to try to coordinate that to the plumbing fixtures that you're electing. So again, just kind of considering how all of those built-in elements, as far as like mixing metals, work for that space.
Yes. Tile showers. I actually might need to ask you on this one. Is it easy enough to add a tile shower in the future, or is that like something you should do ahead of time? I know if you're thinking flush entry, doing that ahead of time because we're going to build the floor down, but maybe retrofitting. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the fiberglass units that we use for both the tub showers in the hall and the owner's shower, they are actually brought in and installed before the drywall is done. You might actually see those sometimes at your mechanical orientation, and that's because those units are so big that we can't get them in later. So to retrofit that and put a tile shower in later, it can be done. And I'm kind of 50-50 on this myself because I had a tile shower renovation at my house, and it wasn't ideal, but at least all of our home plans, you do have 2 bathrooms.
That's what I was going to say.
In my house, I did not. So I was showering at the Planet Fitness. But what they're going to need to do is they're going to need to actually cut that fiberglass unit that we provide up into pieces to remove it from your house to install a tile shower. So again, because we have multiple bathrooms in all of our home plans, no home plan has only 1 shower or 1 tub shower. You're going to have a secondary place to bathe during your renovation. I'm kind of 50-50. It's one of those things where if you can do the investment now, by all means, add it in now. If not, if you really have to wait, maybe save up a little bit, take a couple years and live in the house first, it can be done later.
Okay, cool.
Adding a shower door to our included shower unit. For a tub shower, I think that's totally a personal preference thing. For me, I would pass on that personally. I prefer a shower curtain rod. For our standing showers, for like all of our owners' bathrooms, I would say you can do that later for the most part, depending on your goals for that space.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are planning to keep that fiberglass shower unit for the indefinite future, then now for that shower door. If you're thinking, I'm going to renovate this shortly after settlement and maybe add in a tile shower like within the next 5 years, maybe consider foregoing the shower door at this time and then doing the tile shower in the near future. However, if you're going to keep our fiberglass unit, maybe you're going to our simulated tile shower unit. We are almost always going to be recommending a shower door for that unit, especially because it actually has a lower threshold. However, if you do want to do the tile shower project in the near future, I would forego the door at the time.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a pretty good recommendation as well. Light fixtures, this is something we get asked about a lot. Like, oh, I don't like any of your light fixtures. Can I buy one and you hang it up? Unfortunately, no, we don't accept any buyer supplied materials. So what we generally recommend if you're thinking decorative light fixtures in the future, maybe more than what we would offer, take the included light fixture after settlement, swapping that out for something that's more to your personal taste. But we would always recommend putting electrical, for the most part, where you kind of expect that you would need it. Especially if it's like in the ceiling of the first floor, like you want a decorative light fixture in the cathedral ceiling in your family room. Well, let's put some wires roughed in there, cap that wiring off, and then you can do that beautiful statement piece in the future.
When it comes to exterior lighting, like maybe decorative exterior lighting, please add that now. And that's because that is going to be much more difficult if you want like lights on the sides of the garage doors or maybe overhead the garage door. Very difficult to run those wires in the future. So we recommend doing that now.
Yes, definitely. We have a whole episode on electrical considerations. So go ahead and give that a listen if you want some more electrical items we would recommend doing for your house.
Oh, a fireplace.
Yeah.
What's your take on fireplace now or later?
I kind of have a special place in my heart for a wood burning fireplace, which I know is like super investment heavy, especially like even retrofitting it. So I really don't know. I have no idea. What would you do?
I would say it's one of those aesthetic items that if you can manage it in the new build, then by all means add it. But just based on like what we're seeing a lot of buyers do recently, they are choosing to focus that investment elsewhere. I've kind of gotten that sense recently. So again, I would, take it or leave it. Obviously, it would be wonderful and beautiful to have. It serves as the focal point of your room. So it takes some of that load bearing off yourself later of having to make the focal point of your room with your like console center or your entertainment, center or art. The centerpiece is the fireplace. So, but definitely if we are in a natural gas community, we recommend a natural gas fireplace, just because it's going to be that real flame. It's not going to look like an
electric flame where it's, computer generated or something. I don't know. AI.
If you are if you're buying one of our larger home plans, especially, maybe you have a larger family and you all feel comfortable at different temperatures, we would recommend watching our video series on our HVAC options and potentially electing one of our optional furnace packages, either the 2-zone system or one of our variable speed furnace or AC units. Along with if you have like a sensitivity to allergies, considering the media air filter or the electronic air filter, which is just going to provide you more clean air for your interior spaces.
If you want in-ceiling speakers, we offer that. We don't usually sell it, though.
Yeah, with the packages you can get at Costco now, everything's wireless.
Yeah,
so people ask us a lot about like built-in technology. And the reason that we don't do a lot of it is because technology changes so quickly that anytime we build something into your new home, before you know it, those items might become obsolete, or how that technology runs is now obsolete. So generally, when people ask us about some of those built-in technology items, we just recommend, hey, look into like what you can do later wirelessly. And that's also like your home security system. Like the Ring doorbell setup is so popular nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Windows. Please add your windows up front with us.
All the windows.
Including any potential skylights you might want. Not available in every plan, I will say, because obviously you have to have a roof above, and then some roof pitches are a little too steep. Your skylight might look a little wonky. But if that would be the case, we also offer sun tunnels, and we do have one or two sun tunnels here at the design studio to show you as an example.
Of course, also the picture window, which we talked about in our Parkside model home episode, doing the picture window.
If you are considering adding a service door to the garage, like a also referred to sometimes as a man door, right? Instead of like your car garage doors.
Or a human door. That was the funniest one I saw in a contract. Somebody had garage.
The person door.
Yeah, person door. That's what it
was. Consider doing that ahead of time with your new build.
Yeah.
Also consider adding deadbolts for your exterior doors ahead of time. Those are very difficult to change in the future because you actually have to bore a hole in the door and in your door frame. Not fun. Along with your interior doors, hanging interior doors, again, not fun. So if there is a certain style of interior door that you prefer, we like to recommend that you get that style up front with your new build.
Yeah, we have very competitive pricing on our interior doors that we offer. So buying the interior door package through us versus trying to swap out those doors in the future, definitely just get the style that you want through us. Exterior materials, we would recommend getting the elevation that suits your personal style the best, because any exterior changes, they're not going to be able to be done down the road at the design studio for the most part. And then also they could be very costly to do in the future. I know like replacing the siding on a house can be quite an investment. So make sure that you kind of do the materials that you want in the elevation, and then that you're picking a color that you feel is going to be a good suit for you and not something that you're going to be like, I want to change this.
That's a great point. Yeah. Again, your exterior colors, those should be closer to a 30-year plus investment.
Yes.
Right. Flooring. So kind of tied into flooring. If you would like the convenience of having the floors done when you move in, we're all about that. Something to consider in tandem with that would be the baseboard or trim package that you would like. So if you want your floors complete when you move in and you did elect the 9-foot ceiling heights, also consider doing the optional 5.25-inch baseboard. If your style is a little bit more contemporary, more clean, straight lined, then go for our flat interior trim package, also referred to as the sanitary or the 1x trim. And then that way it's going to give your home that completed and finalized look.
Yes. And like to Steph's point, kind of furthering that point, if you're thinking, I'm going to do the floors myself or later down the road, but yeah, I got that 9-foot ceiling, let me get that baseboard too. We would probably actually just recommend that you wait on the baseboard, because when they change the flooring material out, they're probably going to take the baseboards off and they might be damaged in that removal process. So they might not be able to be put directly back up. They might just need you to buy new baseboard trim or new door casing, whatever it is.
I would say overall, it is definitely convenient to get the right floor ahead of time, but realistically, we understand that it might not be within everyone's investment range. If you can afford that convenience, by all means. Otherwise, just keep in mind you will have to clear the room and maybe clear multiple rooms if you're doing of all furniture, clean it, and then you're obviously not going to be using that space while the work is being done. So
yeah, let's clarify. Steph and I want you to do all of it through us if you can, but we understand that everybody has that budget in mind or their target investment range, and this is more to give you ideas of kind of how to get what you want within that. If you can do it, do it.
Absolutely.
And along the line of flooring material, we have a lot of people in our single family homes asking about hardwood staircases. So this is an option that we offer exclusively in the single family homes just because we can fully wait for the home to be sold before we start any construction. To do the hardwood staircase, we're going to get the specific type of tread that will be able to be stained and exposed. And we would also recommend doing the handrail and baluster package through us, extending that if you want to extend it where there is normally wall included, or if you are thinking of changing the style, those would certainly be more easily done upfront through the design studio.
Absolutely. Great point. Anything else you want to mention, Kay?
I think that covers most of it.
Well, thank you for joining us today on the Building One Story at a Time podcast. We hope you join us next week for the next episode.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.